Hello and welcome to etbfsi.com. My name is Amol Dete and I'm in conversation with Ms. Megha Chopra. She is the country business head of global commercial service at American Express Banking Corp. Megha, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Amol. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so to begin with, Megha, I have few of the important questions for you, specifically in the payment space. But to begin with, could you just tell me the key trends that is happening in the commercial payment space right now?
So, Amol, if you actually speak about commercial payments, it's a very, very vast landscape, right? We are actually referring to a vast pool of payments that buyers and suppliers do every day, thousands of transactions to actually efficiently run their business. And if you look at it traditionally, this space has been plagued with paper, cash, archaic processes, manual, and error prone to some extent. What the pandemic actually has done is it's brought about the fastest pace of digitization. And I think that's one of the biggest trends that has come in commercial payments or the B2B landscape today. Every organization is thinking to be digital first in their business expenses and their management. And what probably would have taken 3 to 5 years probably has actually very, very rapidly transformed in a couple of months or quarters. I think the other trend that we have seen in commercial payments is the heightened need for automation and streamlining. As cost is becoming very, very important for all organizations today, right? It's become the survival mantra as people are, as companies are marching out of the pandemic. We see that organizations and CFOs are actually taking a very keen lens and understanding whether their processes are streamlined, they're automated, they deliver the most efficient amount of dollars, and also at the same time are they scalable, because today we are working virtually as well. Sometimes organizations have central processes but they had to decentralize during the pandemic. So are they fraud free, and also can they be fully visible today to the finance functions? So I think automation is another key trend in commercial payments that we are increasingly seeing. And last but not the least, today, organizations are also, looking at commercial payments as tool for cash flow generation. So, optimizing your working capital cycle, seeing whether your pay cycles can actually generate more paydays and give you free cash flow, or how can you generate receivables faster? What can you digitally embed as options for your customers so that you can get cash faster in this whole motto to get more free cash flow? So, I think I would say digitization, automation, and cash generation through your commercial payments are probably the biggest trends that we are seeing today.
Valid points, Megha, but looking at India specifically now, the country which still believes in the cash is king. Okay, after demonetization, we should, completely shifted to digital in far more meaningful manner. But again, we went back to cash. Even during pandemic, digital, what you can say, surged a lot. But again, cash is a very an integral part of the Indian society. Considering this, the growth and the trends that you've discussed specifically into the commercial payments, tell me how sustainable it is going forward.
So you're right, Amol, that there is a tendency to love cash in the economy, but you see what has happened in the B2C space, and we have to take a bit of precedence from there as well. In 3 or 5 years back, we probably used to carry enough and more cash in our wallets, and now we don't have cash in our wallets anymore. We are using digital payment options. More than 75% of consumers today prefer to pay digitally. These type of trends have also percolated down on the B2B sides, and especially they got heightened during the pandemic. If your business was operating on check and cash, I'm just taking an example during the pandemic, and you were either faced with lockdown positions, or you were faced with situations where your buyers or suppliers actually said that there is no other medium in which they could interact with you but non-cash. I think that forced businesses to look at digitization more permanently. Also, I think the gains of digitization are very out there in the open today. And I think one of the biggest factors for that is data. Data is the new oil today, right? And if you're not able to digitize your journey on payments and receivables, you actually have no no insight on the data. So how do you actually progressively use optimization tools on, let's say, consolidation of your vendors, understanding your cycles on receivables, seeing which buyers make sense for you, which buyers don't make sense for you. So I think while there is a lot of love for cash, but there is also a great resonance now that data is important, digitization is important, because both, not that it will give you general efficiency, but also it will give you so much control and visibility of your process, which you need today to make your business models very agile. Now, tomorrow, if you need to get into an omni-channel strategy for a business, you have to be operating offline as well as online. You just can't do that if you actually operate on cash. So I think there are a lot of signposts that businesses are actually taking into their stride and changing their business models towards digitization so that they can get long-term gains. Because unlike B2C, you can actually have a short-term shift. In
Right.
B2B, the changes will always be slightly more stable and long-term.
Okay, so it's a valid point. In the B2B, perhaps the change will be remain more stable, because perhaps they are not going to change like a customer from Paytm to Google to Razor Pay to Amazon Pay. Uh, what kind of demands are there from the corporates, or specifically the B2B segment, specifically into the commercial payments?
So Amol, commercial payments actually, or business expenses, if I kind of broadly define the term, it actually is catering to some specific type of segments. So and I'll give you examples so that I bring that to context. For example, all businesses, whether small or large, have the need to streamline their low value and high volume purchases. That's there in every business. You will have thousands of suppliers that you have to pay to, and those are random payments. They'll happen some month, won't happen the other month. So we are seeing a heightened need from customers to help them streamline and automate those type of payments, and they want more plug and play solutions. So cards actually very well fit into an existing ERP and can be a plug and play solution, and a lot of pain around processing of the tail expenses is comfortably managed. I think the other area where we are seeing a lot of interest is on the other side of this of the spectrum, that you've got large value payments and you've got bespoke relationship with buyers and suppliers, and they want to move towards a digital ecosystem. So they want the buyer also to pay digitally, the supplier wants to receive digitally. So you bring both parties together, but those are sensitive transactions, big transactions. So they want a lot of data to come out of that transaction. So we are seeing a lot of interest in some of our other products where they want to spend or receive in large value and get intelligent insights out of that, so that they can take decisions in the long term with respect to their payments or receivables. So that's another place we are seeing a lot of action, where there could be bulk uploads, a lot of invoice payments for sensitive high value buyer supplier relationships. I think another place where we are seeing, where we always saw a lot of action, was travel and entertainment. While it's got soft right now, but that was one space which not only needed digitization, but also had this huge urgency to give data. What employees are traveling, where they are traveling, are they complying to policies? So all of that has actually become much more meaningful now. It was good to have earlier. It's must have now. As slowly corporate travel is opening, personal travel is opening, everybody is paying a lot of attention on duty of care. They want their employees to be safe. They want their employees to do what the policy says, and also monitor trends and benchmark themselves on what's happening in the industry. So that's another area of interest that we are seeing on digitization. And I think overall, otherwise, we are seeing this huge need from small enterprises, medium enterprises, to actually get onto the bandwagon of digitization. We work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies, almost 60% of them, and we help them to digitize their payment journeys, receivable journeys. But at the same time, you'll be surprised, Amex is also a global leader for small businesses. We work with 3.3 million small businesses globally, and we help them to design their payment journeys, their receivable journeys. How can they use card as a medium to accelerate cash and also to generate savings? So in this whole situation where businesses are really keenly looking at generating P&L value, we see a lot of interest around digitizing their payment and receivable journeys, generating more cash, more savings, so that they can be like very well preserved in terms of their cash flow management. So these are a couple of areas we're seeing too interest.
Uh, I think a detailed one, Megha. Uh, I have one more important question. The way the digital payments are rising, not only in B2C but B2B segment, everybody is looking at, whether the receivables are all, segments, invoicing and everything is into a, absolutely a digital payment transformation sides, and we have seen a sharp decline in most of the credit card business in last couple of quarters. How do you see going ahead that card business will be? I mean, what is your view on there? Because if you're so bullish on the card payments, does that mean that the card business is rising? If not, why are you so bullish on the commercial payment which will happen on the card?
So, valid question, Amol. And I don't think there was any industry that did not get impacted because of the pandemic. Because there were serious lockdowns, there was complete halt on business activity, and of course, when businesses are keeping their purse strings tight, there is no payment, there is no receivable. Then obviously, a card is a you know. It's just a reflection of what is the economic activity. But yes, we believe that commercial payment digitization is a trend to stay, and cards is one of the most easy plug and play solutions that can be deployed in commercial payments to digitize that. So that's the reason why we are extremely bullish that as small, medium, large enterprises walk out of this pandemic and they believe that efficiency is going to be their mantra for survival, they believe that they want to generate and optimize their cash flows, they will deploy solutions like cards, which is the easiest way to actually kind of generate efficiency. So we are yes, very confident that this is just the start of the B2B transformation. And there is a huge landscape that we have to cover amongst the whole industry to kind of take the B2B landscape into a much more digital space.
Is there any way that you can give me some example or the data in terms of how has been the card segment doing right now compared to what it was 6 months back?
I'm not. I won't be able to share numbers, of course, but of course, from a directional standpoint, the B2B side of the business or the expense management side of the business, that is growing because more and more companies want to digitize their payments and receivables. While travel and entertainment was something which had slowed down significantly, month on month we are seeing improvement. I think that's the important thing to note. Every month we are seeing better numbers over the previous month, so that's also inching back. I wouldn't say that the numbers are back to 2019 levels, but of course they are improving and the trends are only showing more and more green shoots.
So, that's fine, but, can you just give me some more information here specifically on, by what percentage do you think the number will grow? Because you've seen that, there is some pickup in the B2B payment sites. Any what you can say, any sense that we can make out of it?
It's difficult for me to give numbers because we usually do not disclose numbers, but let me tell you that our estimation is and this could also be applied in general to the industry, that from a B2B payment side it will only grow vis-a-vis 2019 numbers by the end of 2021. So if that helps to kind of put some numbers to context.
Okay, no worries. I will keep trying my luck. So one more thing, give me some global perspective. How has been the card business and the commercial payment is doing right now?
So I think the trends are very similar, whether it's global or in India, because all countries have faced the same level of disruption and same level of urge towards digitization post the pandemic. So the trends are very similar. In other parts of the world as well, we are seeing that the B2B or the commercial payments business is accelerating much faster than it was. There is a lot of interest from all segments, whether it's large, mid, or small businesses, to actually quickly get into this urgency to digitize. Sorry, and again, you won't get numbers from me, but yes, I think the trends are very very similar. I would just say that India in the pack of countries is definitely not the ones which is left behind, because we do have a digital agenda as a country. There are a lot of factors in the country that help the whole ecosystem to move forward. There is regulation, there is government, there are players in fintech and card companies like us who are all trying to achieve the same goal. So there is definitely a lot of excitement in the India market. So we are not very behind in terms of the global trends.
Very well said, Megha, and I think valid points. Thank you for answering all the questions, and thank you for sharing some good inputs on the commercial payment side. Thank you so much, Megha, for sharing time and talking to etbfsi.com.